Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely exhausted, even though the other person smiled the entire time? Maybe they laughed at your jokes. Maybe they told you they were happy for your success. Maybe they acted like your friend. And yet, something deep inside you kept whispering that something wasn't right. What if I told you that your brain may have noticed something long before your conscious mind did? Because according to psychologists, human beings are remarkably poor at detecting hidden hostility when it's disguised as kindness. In fact, some of the people who secretly dislike you will never insult you, never argue with you, and never openly reject you. Instead, they'll do something far more dangerous. They'll pretend. And here's the disturbing part. Most people spend years surrounded by individuals who secretly resent them without ever realizing it. They mistake politeness for respect. They mistake attention for affection. They mistake friendliness for loyalty. But human behavior has a pattern. No matter how well someone hides their true feelings, psychology tells us that emotions always leak through behavior. Always. Tiny changes in body language, small inconsistencies in speech, subtle shifts in attention. These signals are so small that most people ignore them. Yet once you learn to recognize them, you'll never see social interactions the same way again. And this changes everything, because understanding who secretly dislikes you isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about understanding human nature. It's about protecting your emotional energy, avoiding manipulation, and finally seeing people for who they really are, rather than who you hope they are. Today, we're going to uncover 7 powerful psychological signs that someone secretly dislikes you while pretending to be nice. And pay close attention because each sign becomes more revealing than the last. In fact, the final sign is so subtle and so psychologically powerful that most people never recognize it, even when it's happening directly in front of them. So, if you've ever had a strange feeling about someone, but couldn't explain why, let's begin. The first sign is something so common that most people experience it almost every day without realizing what it actually means. They support you with their words, but not with their emotions. At first, this sounds impossible. After all, if someone congratulates you, compliments you, or tells you they're happy for you, doesn't that mean they genuinely support you? Not necessarily. Here's where things get interesting. Psychologists have long known that human communication is far less about words than most people believe. Studies repeatedly suggest that emotional authenticity is communicated primarily through tone of voice, facial expressions, timing, and body language, rather than the actual words being spoken. In other words, someone can say all the right things while feeling all the wrong emotions. Imagine telling a friend that you just got your dream job. They smile. They say, "Wow, that's amazing. I'm really happy for you." But something feels strange. Their smile disappears too quickly. Their voice sounds flat. They immediately change the subject. They don't ask follow-up questions. They don't seem emotionally invested in your happiness. Most people ignore this feeling because they assume they're overthinking. But the reason is actually psychological. When someone secretly dislikes you, your success creates what psychologists call emotional dissonance. They understand that social rules require them to appear supportive, but internally, they may feel jealousy, resentment, insecurity, or even disappointment. Their conscious mind says, "I should act happy." Their unconscious mind says something completely different. And here's the disturbing part. The human brain is terrible at hiding authentic emotional reactions for extended periods of time. This creates tiny leaks in behavior that other people's brains subconsciously detect. Your brain notices the mismatch before you consciously understand it. This is why you sometimes leave interactions with a strange feeling you can't explain. Consider another example. You announce an exciting life event. Everyone else becomes curious and engaged. They ask questions. They celebrate. They become emotionally invested in your story. But one person responds with a generic compliment and immediately redirects attention elsewhere. Most people never realize that indifference disguised as politeness can reveal more than outright criticism, because genuine support naturally creates curiosity. Fake support creates obligation. And this is where people make a huge mistake. They listen to words while ignoring emotional behavior. But that's not even the most important thing. Because if someone secretly dislikes you, eventually their hidden emotions begin affecting something even harder to fake: their attention. And once you understand how attention works psychologically, you'll start noticing a pattern that changes everything.